Chris called me and he was like, I didn't know, man. I didn't know.
This is a good one. I'm Jesse David Fox, senior writer, Vulture, and author of Comedy Book. My guest this week is Wanda Sykes, easily one of the most significant stand-up comedians of the 21st century. We talk about her newest stand-up special, Legacy, which came out earlier this year, as well as I'm Gonna Be Me, the special she put out in 2009, less than a year after coming out publicly. I'm Gonna Be Me is one of the great specials, filled with some of the all-time greatest jokes. This is a big episode with a big comedian. So here is Wanda Sykes. I'm here with Wanda Sykes. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
So the first question we asked, what is the funniest, strangest, or most fascinating thing that's happened to you this week?
Wow, I can barely remember what happened this morning. Let's see. Something fascinating. I had a realization of something that, I've never said out loud. And I don't even know if it's something I wanted. But anyway, I was doing an interview and they asked me, what is the thing that you would like to do that you haven't done? My go-to answer is always porn. It's always my go-to answer. But I said host Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And I put it out there.
And it's not something you had thought before. It's just something that you just said.
Yeah.
Do you want to host Saturday Night Live?
I guess I do. I said it, so I guess I'm putting it out there.
Has it ever, do you feel like almost happened? Do you feel like it's a conversation that is had?
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess people don't tell you that you might host Saturday Night Live if you're not hosting Saturday Night Live.
I think Tiffany is the only African-American female who's a comedian who's hosted. So
that wasn't like Maya has, but like Maya was a cast member.
Right. Cast member. And she's Maya Rudolph.
Sure.
Yeah. She can do anything. But I don't know if I'm on the board. I don't know.
Do you have any impressions? This is your chance to, if Lauren's watching, this is your chance.
Oh, no.
I think it can happen. It was a question I was going to ask if it's something that's on your radar. Because it's like, it does seem like one of the things that you have not done that I feel like a comedian of your level should be added to like the list of things.
It probably should have already happened, to be honest with you.
That's the thing. It's like it should have happened. So it's like now it's a makeup. It's like,
now it's almost like I probably shouldn't do it. I probably should just, wait for them to ask and I go, no.
Yeah.
You're too late, buddy.
The time you should have asked was.
Yeah.
It was really like that. I was like, I guess like win the Mark Twain prize. Or like, do you want to win the Mark Twain prize?
Do I want to win the Mark?
Yeah. Most comedians
maybe not now that it's at the Kennedy Center and
you
all
would
that.
follow up. I think Bill Maher was winning it this year.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's kind of questionable now.
Yeah. You'll wait a few years.
Let's wait.
So your newest special, Legacy, opens with like, speaking of, like a really good chunk about the current administration and the sort of current state of things. And I feel like, especially compared to the first Trump administration, a lot of comedians have just sort of shied away from doing political material. Like everyone was doing it the first administration, and it really is hard, especially in specials. Why do you think it has been a thing that so many comedians have avoided?
Because it's so polarizing. There's no in between. Like the first administration, we saw it, but at least it felt like they knew he was unqualified, or he was a character. They liked the idea of having this guy who wasn't in politics, run the country. And so it was kind of like a novelty, I guess. And so they could kind of laugh at it a little bit, but now, man, they are all in. It's a cult now. They are all in. So, and the thing is, you don't know, like you could talk to someone and think, well, this person seems pretty reasonable. And then you get into politics, you go, uh-oh, you've been bit. you got it.
Yeah.
You've been bit. So, yeah, so it's kinda but you would think for me, the audience would know what they're gonna get
Yeah.
when they show up, but yet they still
Oh, really?
some of them, I get a handful of them in there, they I guess they just love that, that Larry David so much that they think, that
He must, yeah,
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
involved, he must be like me. Everyone involved with him must be like, "That's wild." Did it like, would they heckle? Would they get up and leave? Like, what does it look like?
it usually looks like, "Come on, Wanda," or "Enough of the politics." They talk to me like I'm Alexa,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, "Nah, man, this is not how this works."
Mhm.
I didn't jump out of a van and throw a bag over your head and drag you in here. This is not a
Yeah,
detention center.
yeah.
You chose to be in here, and obviously you guys you suck at making choices. You good lord. You're just full of bad decisions
So, considering what motivates you to still to dedicate that much time of your set to talking about the administration?
because we have to talk about it. I
Yeah.
mean, I I think it would look like I'm intentionally
Mm,
avoiding it not to talk about it,
yeah.
right? I really have to go out of my way to not talk about it. And the look on my face, I think everyone would know like, "Oh, she wants to talk about it." Like she knows what she's doing. Cause it'd be a lot of this like, huh? Right? So and I think my audience,
Yeah.
that's what they look. That's why they show up. They expect it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's like, I think that feeling is a feeling as a person who watches as much comedy as I do, is I feel like a lot of comedians who have been political in the past have avoided it, and you can tell either that they want to or they don't want to deal with it, or I think it's like, or they'd be like, "Oh, it's all the jokes have been made." Like, I understand the idea. It's like, oh, it's difficult to make jokes about Trump, but it's like you're a professional comedian. It's definitely difficult for
Right,
me, but it's
right.
like it's your job, and I think it's like, I think a lot about like what is the responsibility of a comedian in so much as like, if people are worried about a thing or caring about a thing and they're coming to you, I think they do expect, please give me some sort of perspective on this that I can
Right.
leave feeling differently or have more, not even feel better, but sort of feel like, oh, things are more, I understand the world a little bit better. Do you feel like that is the job?
Um, I believe it's my job,
Yeah.
but I think there's comics who are I don't want to say yeah, scared I don't think it's about being canceled, but it's
Yeah.
so much about, likes and followers and also ticket sales,
Yeah.
So they rather shy away from it and and keep that audience.
Yeah.
Because they have more to lose.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about more to lose, but yeah, they just don't want to lose. They
Yeah,
don't
they
want to
don't wanna
lose
lose, and
anything.
they don't wanna get the negative feedback at
Right,
all, really,
right.
at this point of their career, right? I think it they're like, "Oh, I spent all this time building this audience. I don't want
Right.
I don't wanna have to."
Yeah.
Eh
If I were a straight white male comic, you know, I guess I mean, because really think about it, you're like, "Imma be okay.
Yeah.
It it doesn't matter which way this thing goes. I'm
Mhm.
gonna be okay."
Yeah, especially if I don't talk about the
Yeah,
administration, yeah.
exactly. Imma be okay. But if they do speak out, then yeah, then
Yeah,
it's a risk.
yeah, and it allows for people who, it's like, as you said, like, if people assume, there are people that go to your shows assuming you might not have the opinions you have. I imagine for, like, a straight white guy who does not talk about politics
Right.
much, they'd be like, I can kind of, like, maybe not say anything
Yeah.
and not court the audience,
Right.
but not shy away from it enough
Right.
that I'm like, "Oh, I'll take their
Yeah.
tickets."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
considering, as I said, so much of this conversation is happening there, people are making jokes about a lot of what they're doing. How do you approach political jokes for yourself, knowing that obviously there's so many jokes are happening on late night shows,
Mhm.
or when you're like, okay, I'm going to talk about, let's say, like RFK, for example, where do you come from to be like, how do you make it so it's sort of unique to you?
It has to be from my perspective. It can't be, uh, like, just like a generalization,
Mm,
I think I have to, be a little bit more, um, I guess is people what I hear a lot is, like, you say the things that I think, but I don't say.
mm,
So it's finding that,
yeah.
you know? I mean, we can make jokes about him, snorting coke off the toilet seats and all that. Uh, but to me, I like to go to uh, I say about how it's gonna affect us,
Mm,
like the pharmacies and medicine and all that things. But yeah, I think it's just finding out the what would Wanda say? How would Wanda,
yeah.
uh, get this joke? And I try not to, if I hear something, that's why, like, when I'm preparing a special, I try not to watch
Mm,
other comics and things because I don't wanna be, influenced or go, "Oh, well, I'm kinda doing something like that, so I should take it out."
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, I was doing this joke, so, yeah.
What is the process once you like, you're like, okay, what does Wanda think about RFK? What is then the process to sort of like, it's a pretty long section where you sort of essentially it's like you go like, okay, well, this is what's going to happen next with it, and then if that's going to happen next, then it ends with sort of like CVS is going to be filled with mason
Mhm.
jars, which I think
Right.
is a very funny end to it. How do you develop like the writing of it? Like, do you write with pen and papers at all on stage? What is your sort of general writing process?
Bullet points. A lot of it's bullet points, and then, working it out on stage. And when it works on stage, I try to, get the exact wording
Mm,
because that's so important. Yeah, you just tell a joke and leave out one word, and "Oh, man, they didn't laugh," and then but once you nail it, it's like, "Okay, this is how I gotta remember this because this is the rhythm, this is
mm,
how the joke works." Yeah, but usually it's like just bullet points and, just trying to build on it, and then when I see like, okay, because the bit is much longer, but for the special,
oh,
I
interesting.
I just get straight down to
What
I bring the wife into it and everything, but I was like, you know, "I like Cheryl. Do
that
I
was
need to
my
do
next
that?" I was
question.
like, "Do I need to do that?"
So you've
That
known
that
Cheryl for a
right.
while. You're known from Curb, but you're also in the Bad Moms movie together. I think you're on Hollywood Game Night together. Did have you met had you met RFK before?
Yes. I you know, I I think I met him even before, he was with Cheryl. Uh, I got a call, and I think was it his mother? Because they were doing some
Yeah, yeah.
a
Oh, yeah.
charity, and, uh, it's Edith, right? Isn't that the
I'd
which Kennedy is
I'd have
that?
to look it up. I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay, don't
One
quote me on it, but,
yeah.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I performed several times at one of his clean water,
Yeah.
um, charities, so who knew? Who knew?
Has it how is you do you still talk to Cheryl? Has it been
I haven't spoken to her in a while, but it's not like I'm avoiding
yeah.
her or anything like that.
It's
But we
just
we just not, not friends like that, but when we work together or if I was booking a show or whatever, and I say, "Hey, can you come do this bit for me?" Sure,
yeah, yeah.
she shows up.
Is it just so odd being like you as you it's almost like the reverse of what we were talking about, which is sort of like you see these people as one thing, and then you're like, given an opportunity,
Right.
their life can go in a completely different
Yeah.
direction. Is that kind of what was in the joke that was cut out for the special? I'm trying to think of like what you could have said.
No, actually, the joke was really, having some, kinda like empathizing with
Yeah.
her in a way because, like, she went on The View and she just wanted to promote her book. She wrote a book, and
Mm,
then but it was just all about her crazy husband,
yeah.
you know? And she had to sit there and try to defend him,
Mm,
and it's like, how crazy she had a whole career
yeah.
before this, and then this guy, and now that's all people wanna talk to her about,
Yeah. And will be
right?
forever. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Like, they'll essentially, like, if they ever do, like, a 10-year Curb Your Enthusiasm
Mhm.
reunion, she might not have to be able to go
Right.
because it'll just sort of take over the
Right.
intention of it.
Yeah. And I don't yeah. And part of me just wishes that she could, just say, "Look, yeah, he's a nut. Yeah, he's a nut. He's crazy, but guess what? That's my nut, and I love his crazy ass, but I don't wanna talk about him and all that foolishness. I wanna
Yeah.
talk about my book,"
Yeah.
just instead of going, "Oh, well, he knows a lot."
There's a part that I think is really impressive in that the sort of current event section is you're talking about Renee Good, and you sort of set up how she was executed. As you say, executed. So at this point, the audience is like at a real low,
Right.
and I do feel like one of the biggest laughs in the entire special is sort of where you then take it. Can you talk about that joke and sort of how it came together?
Um, yeah. I mean, when truncated like that, it sounds so horrible, like,
Well, that's why.
"Yeah, that joke about Renee."
Well, yeah, I'm just doing the setup, but that's what's so amazing because it's
I know what you're saying. No, the
because
whole
it's
bit is about ICE and how
yeah,
ICE, um, they told us that they were bringing ICE in to protect us from violent criminals, but really what they're doing is, killing Americans, and I mentioned, Alex Preddy, and then I said Renee Good, um, which was horrible. She was executed right, in her car
yeah,
and in front of her wife and the cop who murdered her, called her, a fucking bitch
hmm,
right in front of her wife, uh, so it's so horrible, and but I wanna talk about it,
hmm,
'cause I wanna keep their names out there,
yeah,
so I had to find what's the joke.
yeah,
It's not even a joke, what is the release where we
yes,
can, because that's what it's about,
yeah,
the
yeah,
release. What is it where I can take you to this place, and it's so sad and heartbreaking, and then find a place where you can let
yeah.
go, and I said, "Well, yeah, she's a lesbian, got shot in a car." I said, "So you know what we need, y'all? We need to call Subaru and ask them to can they make an armored Outback?" Um and people are just like, "Oh, thank you.
It
I need
really
that
is. You
land."
can
Yeah.
tell because I imagine it's a hard joke to test out. You don't know what
Mhm.
audience,
Right.
but it does feel like they needed something that
Yeah.
audience, and I do think it is part of what comedy can do is like stave off hopelessness, right? It's like if you just hear that situation, the news is like this awful thing, and you're just like the world, and you're like, oh, there is a way to move forward.
Right. The first time I tried the joke out, I believe I think it was in, like, this gay bar, and yeah, I think it was at the Act Bar
Mhm.
in,
In LA.
LA. Yeah. My friend does a Bruce Daniels, he does a night Tuesday nights there, so I think that was the first time trying it out, and then I was pretty, a little sheepishly,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
so, and it's like, "Okay, there's something here." Yeah.
So as I said, half the special or the first half of the special is about sort of Trump and current events in the world, and then the back half is more personal. When you like on embark on doing a special or working on a tour, are you sort of more excited or motivated to be like, I'm going to go out there and talk about current events, or like I'm going to go out there and talk about how gassy I am now? Like, what are you most excited to do? Because the gas stuff comes right after the sort of the
Right,
heavy politics stuff.
right. Um, I play around with the order.
Yeah.
Sometimes I walk out on stage and I wanna go right to the, I'm tired,
Mm.
uh yeah, it's I kinda gotta get a vibe of the audience. Do we wanna get right to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
or do I first let's warm up a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it matters. Like it's like whatever the both you're feeling that day, right? If
Yep.
you're having like a more tired day or a gassier
Mhm.
day, you'd be like, "Oh, this is
Right.
my way into the material." Or if Trump does something crazy, be like, "Oh,
Uh-huh.
everyone's thinking that. Let's get this right out of the way, and then we
Yeah.
can sort of get to."
Especially if something, like, really crazy was big in the news that day, then I gotta go, "Did you see?"
Yeah.
I gotta go right to it.
So you've quoted the advice Chris Rock gives to many comedians about when they're
Mhm.
embarking on filming, usually their first special. He goes, "Well, make it special." It's a pretty abstract note to give
I
people,
know.
and I know a lot of comedians who It's so funny because, like, I've heard early interviews and you say, like, Chris Rock gave me this advice. And I've heard other comedians, like Michael Che's, like, right before I was filming the special, Chris Rock gave me this advice, which is you got to
Uh-huh.
make it special. He gave it to Hannibal. And I'm like, it's actually, when you think about it,
I
almost
know.
like no advice whatsoever.
Yeah.
But so what does that mean to you? You've now done it
And you
enough.
know what's so funny? Chris told me, he goes, "Yeah, I heard you tell people, I told you to make it special." He said, "You know who told me that?" I said, "Who?" He said, "I think Dice Clay." I was like, "Get the fuck out of here. You really?" He said, "I'm pretty sure it was Dice." He's like, "But it's good, right?
Yeah, it's
It
good.
works." I'm like, "You know what? Hey, it works.
I've been hearing
It
people
works."
quote Chris Rock say that for, let's say, 25 years. So
Uh-huh.
now the idea that there's probably like 100 comedians who have the same story, but it's Andrew
Yeah.
Dice Clay being like,
Right.
because it is, you can almost imagine it more as a thing Andrew Dice Clay would say, which is like,
Right.
hey, you got to make it special. Because
Right.
because Chris would be like, you don't want to put out a so. And you're like,
Right.
that does
Right.
seem like an
Yeah,
Andrew Dice Clay
exactly.
show.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does special mean to you? I think this is, your is this your seventh hour, eighth hour,
I think
something?
so. I think it's my
What does
son.
special mean to you on a practical sense?
It like, it can't feel like you just walked in
Mm,
a club and you're just doing a set, you know? Um, Everything, the way it's put together, uh, it has to be tight, um, no fat, even like the room, the setting, the
mhm.
wardrobe, everything, it has to be intentional.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Everything, yeah, you put thought into everything.
I heard you mention in passing, one of the things about, like, I've always been fascinated by Chris Rock's process in the part where he talks about, like, "Oh, I'll go to, like, Boca Raton and do
Yep.
black jokes for Jewish people." And you mentioned doing that. Do you do that as well? Do you try to find weird venues to do different material at? Can you think of an example?
Um, it's not necessarily weird venues. I like to go, like, just to places where I like the
Yeah.
club. I like the club staff. Um, they usually get a good audience, a nice little,
Mhm.
cross section, whatever. Yeah, so I like in a comfortable location where during the day you can kind of like chill, or
Got it.
maybe look at some water, something relaxing, good restaurants. Yeah.
Um, you've known Chris for a long time. I was wondering if you have a story that captures what your relationship with Chris Rock is like, either from the beginning or just any point.
Mm. I think probably there's like, because it's like we don't talk often,
Mm,
but there are moments like I remember when it was after, it was uh in the public that I had breast cancer. And this was like I had already finished
mm.
my treatment, post-surgery and all that stuff. And Chris called me and he was like, "I didn't know, man. I didn't know. I'm so sorry you went through that. I didn't know. Ah, I wish I had known." I was like, "What were you gonna do, Chris? Come give me a titty massage? What?"
That's good.
But we laugh, but he's someone like, like that's like a
Yeah.
real friend,
Yeah.
and real caring guy. And the same thing like with him at the Oscars. I was hosting, I was there, and so, you know, I text him, and we met up at Guy Series party, and he was just sitting there, and I just sat with him, and we just talked for like an hour,
Yeah.
just about, that, and then everything else. We just sat and talked, and it's like just a real
Mhm.
friend, like
Yeah.
people were coming over, "Hey," I was like, "Leave him alone,"
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
Because everyone's like,
I'm very protective of Chris. I am.
so, like, considering that you host the Oscars, which is its own already one of the most stressful things one can do, and then
Right.
you're hosting this Oscars, which is like
Mhm.
now one of the most famous one, which is where the slap happens. Do you think you could host an award show again? Like, do you think that
I mean,
was?
I could. Do I want to?
Well, yeah.
That's
I guess
another
the other
question.
question is,
Yeah,
next
I
question: do you want
could.
to?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on what movies are out or whatever. I don't know.
Got
Yeah,
it.
I don't know.
Um, the special is called Legacy, and I was thinking about your legacy, and I was thinking specifically about your "Imma Be Me" special, which I
Mm,
think is one of the greatest specials in the
thank
history
you.
of comedy, and specifically the gay versus black joke, which is one of the greatest jokes ever written. It literally, like, at Vulture 10 years ago, I put together a list of the 100 jokes that shape modern comedy, and it's one of
Mhm.
the jokes on there. It's a monumental
Thank
achievement.
you.
So
Thank you.
and since this is my first time I get to talk to you, I really like to talk a little bit about that because there's also this moment where so much changes for you
Mhm.
personally and professionally. You shoot filmed the special, it's like a fully different comedian has
Right.
arrived. So, I wanna take a step back and provide some context for people who don't remember. So for much of the '90s, you were billed as Wanda Sykes Hall.
Mhm.
Um, but then there was a decade between your divorce with your husband and then when you marry your wife in 2008. And during that time, though you were not publicly out, you've talked about you were dating women, but you had 2 stand-up specials during that time.
Right.
And you don't lie. You don't go like, "I'm out here dating men, it's so hard." But when you watch them back, you're like, "Oh, this joke is actually maybe a little bit different." Do you remember working on material in that time period and how you thought about talking about that, like, your life on stage? Were you afraid? Were you like, "I just don't wanna get into it?"
Um, oh, yeah, I mean, the jokes, I would say yeah, I definitely they were designed to not,
Mhm.
to leave pronouns,
Yeah.
they or, and but I'm like, relationships are relationships. I can still talk about
Yeah.
being in a relationship or just, things in general, but I just wasn't specific as saying like her and she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there's a joke about you going to a strip club and sort of the way it pivots is sort of so it is
I
just
don't
a
even
thing.
remember it. Yeah.
It's basically like managed strip club. I can't remember when I just watched it, but so it was something were you did you consider talking about on stage before you came out publicly? Like, we'll get into sort of that story, but like, what were you thinking about in terms of like, oh, I should talk about my life on stage. I don't want to talk about this part of my life.
I I'm trying to go back there.
Yeah.
I I remember just wanting to be, just funny.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. What's funny? And um and I know I didn't want being a lesbian to be the
Mm,
headline of 'cause I saw like what happened with Ellen.
yeah.
And it wasn't about losing my job or losing,
Mm,
audience or anything. Um I just didn't want it to be an
yeah.
obstacle where people have to think about that before they can get to the next joke. Um, so it was definitely intentional, but also I think it was because I wasn't ready to come out.
Mm,
I wasn't, I was so I'm on stage thinking I should just say it's like, nah, not now, not
yeah.
now. But it's also on stage waiting for someone to like shout something out.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's because I was curious about because that part of you where you're like, "Oh, I have a funny thing I can say here," but then I would reveal it. That's why 2009 when you do that special, it feels like so much energy is coming out because
mhm,
you're essentially like performing with like a weighted
right,
vest on.
right,
So then talk about 2000 fall 2008. You come out kind of
mhm,
you surprise yourself. You weren't planning on it,
right.
and then you're filming the special. The special then comes out a year later. Can you talk about the story of how you came out, and then being like, now I can talk about it on stage and what that year felt like when you were working on that material?
Yeah, I came out, at a protest, it was a rally for the National Day of Protest of the passing of Prop 8, and I had shows in Vegas, so I was like, let's go to the Vegas rally." And I'm in the audience, well, in the crowd,
Yeah.
whatever, not one the crowd, I'm in the crowd, and there's speakers and, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah," and then they're like, "Someone's here, she's an ally,
Yeah, yeah.
and we're just so happy that, she's out here supporting, and I'm, like, looking around like, "Is Drew Barrymore out here? Is it Pink? Who's out here?" And then they say Wanda Sykes. I'm like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah.
I said, "Ah, they think I'm an ally. I'm a citizen. They don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I belong." So I went up and spoke, and it just came out,
Literally came
Yeah,
out.
literally,
So
yeah.
then did you immediately start talking about it on stage?
Um, I think so. I think I had a show that night, and by the time I got back to the hotel, it was already on the CNN crawl,
Mm,
and I'm like, "Oh, I'm really out, okay." And yeah, I did talk about it that night, uh, but it was more about how jacked up Prop 8,
mm,
how it's, inequality, and how's my marriage gonna, affect your marriage.
yeah,
At first the joke was, how's their marriage gonna affect
yeah.
your marriage? Now it's, how's my marriage gonna affect your
I That was
marriage?
the joke I was
That
thinking
was
about. You had that
yeah.
joke before
Uh-huh.
you came out, and it's like, it's
Mhm.
wild that
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
Did that I have to imagine that first year of that material must have been it like, 'cause by that point, you've already been doing comedy for, like, over 2 decades. But did it feel like I'm doing comedy anew? Was it an extremely exciting time? You're like, "Oh, I have all this part of myself I now can talk about."
Oh, it definitely was a shift, like, "Oh, I'm all in now. This is, I like where this is going," and I like how it felt on stage
Yeah,
not to have any fear,
yeah.
and then it became, well, if some people walk out, if they don't want,
Mhm,
they don't wanna, support me anymore, fine. I don't want that support.
yeah.
Yeah,
Even that energy is a different posture for a comedian to have.
right,
To be like, "I'm not afraid to lose audience if I can be me on stage."
exactly.
Were there conversations with comedians who maybe didn't know or knew, but were like, I can imagine even comedians who would think of themselves as not homophobic would be like, "Yeah, but you don't wanna be like a gay comedian on stage."
Right. I didn't Yeah, didn't really
Okay.
have those conversations. Um,
That's mine.
yeah, I'm just trying to think. But what's funny though with the audience, I got that from the audience
Yeah, that
though.
was the next question, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You wanna ask the question then?
Well, no, so the question is like, the other question is like, I imagine, like, news travels at different times, and I
Right,
imagine there's people showing up being like, "I didn't pay to see a gay comedian.
right.
What is this?"
Mhm.
How did that materialize?
For me, it wasn't, I didn't show up
Yeah,
see a gay comedian. All of a sudden, people are showing up to see the
yeah,
gay comedian.
which is the other flip side of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. My audience grew within the gay community, and then they would, kinda challenge me because they didn't think I was being gay enough. Like, "Your show was really funny, but, I wish you would, you know, do more about us and talk about the gay community." And I'm like, "Jackass, I just did, like, what, 30 minutes on
Yeah.
my wife?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Talking about my wife and my kids? That's not gay enough for you?" That's
Yeah.
I
Being
mean,
a
I
gay
don't yeah,
parent,
being a
being
gay
gay
yeah,
married, yeah,
that's
yeah.
not. And then they kinda got like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Just my existence.
Yeah.
That should be gay enough."
'Cause it's fascinating when you're watching it, because it's like, because the first 20 minutes, you kinda don't say anything specifically about it other than you talk about, getting older and you wanna be cremated. You talk about being an organ donor and being
Uh-huh,
cremated and, like, what do you wanna do with your ashes? And
uh-huh.
then you just, like, spread it over Halle Berry. And that gets a huge pop from the audience, being like, "Oh, that's how you talk about it." And then
Uh-huh,
you kinda get into it. So can you talk, so the gay versus black joke, for those from not familiar,
mhm.
can you summarize the basic premise of it, and how it sort of started to have that angle?
Yeah, it was, again, like, Prop 8 had passed. We didn't have marriage equality. Um, there's even, was cases about how, couldn't adopt, and uh, just a lot of,
Yeah.
the inequality, just discrimination. And so the joke was, I said at times I think it's harder to be gay than black. And it's like, I didn't have to come out to, I didn't have to come out to my parents. Come out
Yeah.
black to my
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
parents. I
Yeah.
had to sit my parents down like, Mom, Dad, I got something to tell you. I'm black. And my mother's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, God, we let you watch too much Soul Train. Is that it? What did I do? What did I do? So
Did
yeah, God said, what is it?
it's
Yeah, God, yeah, in the Bible, God said Adam and Eve, not Adam and Mary J. Blige. Yeah.
that part is, as I said, it's one of the great jokes. That should Adam and Eve, not Adam and Mary J. Blige, is one of the great. Which doesn't even make sense because
No.
it's black. No, it does make
Yeah,
sense because it'd
it's
be
black. Yeah.
Adam Bill Black.
Mhm.
The That's it's so it's like, do you remember what so you had the thinking? I mean, like, because if you watch it, you go like, this is a joke about. Ultimately, it's a joke where it's like it's hard to come out. Like that's like essentially what
Mhm.
the joke is about. Was it rooted in your personal experience? Where you're like, okay, I'm not going to talk about it. What was difficult about this so people like understand where I'm coming from?
It really was okay. I Of course I'm black. I've been black all my life. I
Sure.
know what this is. There's things that I expect.
Yeah.
I know there's discrimination. I can go into a restaurant, somewhere, whatever, and if it's being mistreated, well, this is before, people kind of know me now.
Yeah.
But, you can feel it like, oh, this is racist.
Mhm.
She's not she's and you can clock it like, yeah, okay, she's treating other black people like this.
Yeah.
This is just not. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Um, but so I'm used to that, right? Man,
Mhm.
it comes with the package. But the gay thing, this is now I'm out and I'm gay, so now I'm like, okay, wait a minute, is
Mhm.
this is the way this person is treating me? Is this because of the black thing or the gay thing? Well, this feels gay thing. It's and then especially getting it from other
Yeah.
black
Yeah. Yeah.
people. It's like, why is this black woman treating me like, or this black man looking at me
Mhm.
like this? I said, oh, it's the gay thing.
Yeah.
So that's where
Yeah.
it came from, like more of just it's all new, and I didn't have the same rights
Mhm.
that I had when I was just black.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just black, I could get married and do whatever I want to do, but now the gate is like, oh, this is a whole nother this is another world right here.
Did you ever get pushback on it? Because it is a pretty audacious premise, especially when you just like do the log line of it.
Mhm.
Were there audiences that were just like, no, don't say that?
Uh,
Like, was there much pushback?
yeah, African American, yeah, a lot of pushback from black people, but I think they if you know me,
Mm,
then you know what that joke is about. I'm not ignorant to our history or think I am very proud of who I am and my heritage and of our people. So um when you know that, then you know it's the joke
yeah.
and the intent behind it. It is in no way saying, oh, black people got it so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
God, no,
No,
no.
I think if you watch it, it's so clearly from a personal experience of like what this
Right.
is. This is how striking, like essentially you had this extreme experience of coming out and seeing
Mhm.
how people treat you. The audience has not had that experience. To have you understand it, I need to explain it in the most
Exactly.
audacious way possible.
Yes.
Um, Considering this special is filmed in DC, it was hard not to think of it, and because I know your relationship with Chris, like in conversation with bring the pain, and especially
Mm.
the black people versus N word jokes. Did you think of it someone in that way? It's
Oh, wow. I did not.
oh interesting. I always wondered because there's only so many jokes, which is like black people versus and
Right. Wow, I wondered, you know what?
Mm,
Maybe subconsciously, maybe it was there. Yeah. It's fun. You know what? Because I do remember when people were talking about the joke, and then I noticed, when I going to talk
yeah,
shows to promote the special, that's the joke everyone went to.
yeah.
They wanted to play that clip. And I do remember going, "Ooh, this is my N-word versus black people thing." And I do remember Chris having some regret, like, because it's like, "Oh, they gonna take this the wrong way." I do remember that.
Yeah, it's so funny. It has the unique thing of, I have to imagine, speaking as a white person, you're like, "Oh, I didn't really think about this being a joke white people would be thinking about a
Mhm,
lot."
mhm.
And I apologize for that, but it is notable as the thing that you did. But, like, I guess there's a thing I always wondered. It's like, so many the general population knows so few comedians that you
Mhm.
became, I think, partly with that joke, like the one female black comedian most white people ever learn about. Has that been a unique burden to have?
Oh, I don't, I love my audience. I do. No, seriously.
Yeah.
I have a great audience. But I have people, who come to my shows and they're quoting stuff from, uh, Sick and Tired
Yeah.
and Tongue and Tie. They they know a lot of, they've been down with me for a long time. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
I didn't
I
yeah.
don't think of it like that.
Um, in the years since, like, comedy has changed, and, like, I was curious. I don't know if you watched Gerard Carmichael's Nathaniel, and I was curious if you
I
thought,
loved it.
like, "Oh, when I came out, I had to do it sort of this way. I need to make sure it was funny as possible," and he sort of was able to do it in this way. I was wondering just sort of what you thought about both, just sort of the nature of how things change and how comedy changed. Do you have a desire to be like, "Oh, I wish I could have said it a little bit more seriously at the time," or, like, ultimately you're happy with how it came together?
I was happy. It was very, just organic. I was there protesting, you
Yeah.
know? So, I think it happened the way it was supposed to happen. Um, I remember having conversations with my publicist, and we both, you know, agreed. She was like, "Just live your life," and
Mm.
she said, "We don't need to do a, people cover." I said, "Thank you." I said, "I'm not doing that." She said, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that." Said, "We're just gonna just live your life, and then it'll come out." And I remember after the protest, I called her. I said, "I think I just came out," and she said, "Okay, great, good for
Cool.
you, good for you."
Great. Now we'll do this.
Yeah,
What was it like watching? You said you loved it. What was it like watching Nathaniel to be like, "Oh, wow, this is comedy has
I thought it
changed."
was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful. I love Gerard. He's I yeah, he's always doing something different, you know. Um, I mean, with the midday show in some gym, you know, Lil Rel talked him into doing whatever, which was still cool. I
Oh, it's
love, yeah,
gorgeous. One of the
yeah,
most
yeah,
beautiful. I put it on
yeah.
just that. It's just one of the
Uh-huh.
most beautiful specials
Right.
ever filmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Um, but yeah, that seemed perfect for him,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, part of it is like, I bring it up because that special and your career in general has moved comedy forward, right? Comedy is expanded by that
Mhm.
special. And so I had some questions, just sort of like general state of comedy things. You hosted a late night show for Fox.
Right.
How do you, the state of late night is different. Like Colbert, when we're speaking, Colbert recently just ended. Like, I remember even 10 years ago, they're like, "Oh, like, when will there be another female in late night?" And we're now, like, seemingly never again, we're
Never
never gonna
again.
Yeah.
They
Uh,
made sure, never again.
how do you feel about both being part of it all and just sort of the state of late night and sort of where that's at?
I enjoyed, for the most part, doing my late night show because it was once a week, but the timing of it was just not right because I was also a regular cast member on The New Adventures of Old Christine, so
Yeah,
I would run from Warner Brothers over to CBS Studios, and I just didn't have, um, the time or attention to run that show properly,
yeah,
to really get my voice and actually sit down with the writers enough for them to get what I was trying to put out. But I'm still happy with the show. I thought we
yeah.
did some really funny bits and, had a great time with Tiger Woods. That was fun. Who knew? That was the beginning. Oh, man. Yeah, so I'm happy that I did get an opportunity to
Yeah.
do it, but looking back, I definitely would've said, "Hey, let me finish this season, and then let's, get back to this."
Were you asked to participate in the Kevin Hart roast?
I was.
I
Yeah.
this suspect
Kevin
isn't.
Kevin called me before it was announced, and I said, "No." And he said, "Come on, Wanda. Come on, it'll be good. Be good for your special. You got a special coming out." And I was like, "Kevin, you know I love you, man." But he goes, I know it's not your thing. I know it's not your thing." He's like, "You'll just come in, do your thing, get out of there." But they were like, "No, you have to sit on the dais." I was like, "Oh, hell no. Hell no. No way in the world."
Did you watch it or consume enough to determine if that was the right decision?
I consumed enough to go, "Thank God I went to the Sparks game instead."
It Do you have a sense of how it just went so wrong?
I I don't yeah, I mean, it's just lazy,
Mhm.
lazy writing. But I thought the same thing with the Brady roast too.
Yeah.
Just like seems like the roast that they're just recycled, sexist, racist, gay jokes. Like, come on,
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like where some people can use the roast as an opportunity to like really showcase how good of a joke writer they are, or
Mhm.
right, it's like why Nikki Glaser always stands out is like she's like
Right.
I'm going to work so hard, and
Yes.
I've collaborated like I'm one of the like hundreds of people that have helped Nikki at all on
Mhm.
those very minor capacity in that, but like everyone else is like, oh, this is actually an opportunity to like just throw out easier things because people are like thinking of a roast as the place where you can just say
Right.
things, opposed to this is a showcase for
Right.
joke writing.
Right. Exactly. I thought Chelsea put some work into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chelsea has some good jokes. Cheryl Underwood, she's just hilarious. Um, and Naeem, he put together a set,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, you have said if you were ever at the same place as Dave Chappelle, you would talk to him. You were both at the Netflix party.
Mhm.
Did you have a nice conversation with him there? Have you spoken to him about just sort of his just the last 10 years of his career and sort of the issues he's focused himself on?
I I love Dave. Um, I did see him briefly at um the brunch, the
Yeah.
Netflix brunch. He came up to me, gave me a big hug.
Yeah.
"Wanda, I love you."
You've known him
Yeah,
forever.
yeah,
He was on
exactly.
your
Yeah,
TV show. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. "Love you, Wanda. You're still the best. I love you, Dave." And we, yeah. I mean, we do. We really do love each
Yeah.
other. Um, it's like I say, like he has the right to say whatever he wants to say, and but I also have the right to tell him how I feel about it. But it's out of love.
Yeah.
The guy he is so funny.
Yeah.
He's funny, he's smart, I mean, I just know, there's so much more.
Yeah.
There's so much more there, and his last special, he he's getting there.
Yeah. That's what it felt
He's
like.
talking about things. You're like, "Okay, come on. A little bit more, a little bit more,"
That's the thing I
but
always go, it's like, it's
and
when I see
then he
it,
goes back to it, and you're like, "Ah, jeez."
like,
Yeah,
obviously, beyond it hurting people in one way or another, I'm just like, you're one of the greatest talents ever given to a person as a stand-up comedian, and it's like so much of your time is spent doing this.
right,
And that's just like, it's what could have he been talking about? And like, what have we missed out on? Like, so many
right.
specials of like, we learned so little about like his life because he's talking about this stuff.
I go back to, I think, which was um, I would say a pivotal moment of where I was like, "Oh boy, he's going is
Mhm.
what we oh geez," is when he was on SNL and was that 2016 the first, That was the first.
When the
That's
one
the
after the
first.
election where he talked about
Was
the party and then how he wants to give Trump a chance?
Yes. That was give him a chance.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh-oh. I don't like where this is going.
That's fair. Speaking of this subject matter a little bit, which is the Golden Globes, you recently, at the Golden Globes, you called out Bill Maher a little bit about wanting to hear him less, and then when Ricky Gervais won, you dedicated it to the trans community and God, which I thought they both were sort of beautiful in their way. What was the motivation there? What was the thinking there? What inspires you to be like, you know what, I'm going to say it. I have the platform to say it.
I really thought Ricky would get a kick out of it.
It's a very funny thing to say.
Yeah, and it feels like so Ricky, you know? So, I thought he would get a kick out of it.
Do you have a sense of he got a kick out of it?
I have no idea. He probably didn't even watch anything. He has no idea. But it was also to give him a little poke about, you know, what he's been saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one, and Bill Maher actually the writers gave me that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was looking for something. I was like, oh boy, I forgot the joke I had. It was I forgot. I had a I don't even remember what it was about Bill.
Yeah.
And whatever it was stepping on a joke that they told me was already in the show. I can't remember what it was. So they gave me some things, and I was like, "Ooh, this, yeah, it's this one. How about a little less?"
Have you heard from him? I can't.
Oh, he stopped me out in the parking lot when we were not parking lot. We were waiting for our cars, and he was like, "What was that about?" And I was like, "It's a joke, Bill." He's like, "Well, I mean, it wasn't even a joke." I said, "Oh no, I heard laughter. It was clearly a joke."
Those are play on
He's
words.
like, "But I don't. But I mean, like, what? I mean, but still, I mean, it's not even a joke. It was just like," I said, "See, you're doing exactly what we said in the joke. We need less of this.
Yeah.
Let's do this less." It's exactly you're epitomizing the joke. Less of this.
Yeah.
This is it. He didn't care for it.
I think it's
And he's like, "Well, I got it. People told me." I'm getting a lot of texts and people are saying, "What was that?" And like, it was a stupid joke. And when he says stupid, I was like, "Okay, now you're gonna get it." I was like, "Well, I got a lot of texts telling me how great it was and how they don't like you, and it was really funny." I guess that's the problem. You're watching Fox News and I'm over here on MSNBC. See? And then he asked me to be on this podcast. I was like, "Absolutely not. Absolutely not."
That's a smart decision. It's even if you were comfortable having a conversation with him normally, that the energy of his podcast does not seem like a pleasant experience for you. In general, like when I think about this with like the work you do with your production company, and you look at projects that you've done, it does feel like you've consciously or you actively like want to push comedy in a forward direction. Do you feel like, is that a goal of yours when you set out to do it and when you look at the legacy that you set out with the projects you've done?
Well, it's intentional of putting voices out there who are, somewhat marginalized. And this the comedy that we like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the projects and the comedians that we work with, they're funny. They're funny, and we love what they're saying. So it has to have some purpose. It's just like what I like.
Throughout your career, you've had opportunities to work with a lot of legendary people. And I would like to ask you about some of those experiences and if you have a story that captures what it was like working with it. Early on, you were in The Clumps with Eddie Murphy. Can you talk about that experience or just generally a story that captures what it's like working with Eddie?
It was a lot of getting into full hair and makeup, wardrobe, and then just sitting around for like a whole day. And then they come in and go, "I didn't get to you today." We'll see you tomorrow.
Because he was just, like,
Yeah.
doing his he was
Well, it's so involved. He has all his
mm,
makeup and changes and everything. Uh, so it was just trying to capture that window when he is, you know,
in
Mama Clump, and then can come shoot the scene with me. But oh, I love Eddie, and I worked with the tennis ball a lot.
mm,
Yeah, it was because it got so ridiculous that um as far as like the
yeah,
timing, the production of it, for that one little scene that it was yeah, they just set up a bunch of tennis balls and I would talk to the tennis ball. And Eddie did come in at one point and
mm.
and read off camera. He
Oh,
did.
cool.
Yeah, but I think he was
Was he doing all the
asked.
different
I think
voices?
I think he was at well, he only had to do the mom and the
Yeah.
I think the mom and the grandma. But he was dressed like her, Sherman. But but he was off camera and did some of the
That's
voices. But it was
wild.
yeah, but that was great. I didn't care. I would sit there all day.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey,
He should
I'm in the clumps."
as you mentioned, being on New Adventures of Old Christine, do you have a story that captures what it's like working with Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
She is just game. I mean, I love working with her. She is hey, if I can make it funnier, I'm going for it. There's no inhibitions with her. She's just fun to watch. She loves rehearsal and she,
Mhm.
really, I mean, yeah, she works. She does. I mean, but she's so fun and so sweet. Um, yeah, it was just a great experience. Yeah.
Um, do you have a definitive working with Larry David story?
Working with Larry, for me, it's just my favorite thing was just trying to break him. If I can break him, then that just made my day. But it's still so stressful though. So stressful working with him. It just because he makes you feel awkward
Mhm.
and uncomfortable. He really likes doing that. Like I like lunchtime, I would avoid him. I was like, I'm not sitting at the table with him, and he would just look like, okay, now he's gonna make a beeline
Yeah,
right
yeah.
at you, like, jeez.
Now I have to have an awkward conversation
Yeah,
with Larry David.
yeah.
Was he doing that to set a tone, or is that he just that's what he's like?
For me, that's just him. I think that's just him.
Can you remember a time you broke him?
Oh, several times. Yeah, several times. Just about pretty much. I think every episode I got him.
How much were you able to interact with Mel Brooks shooting History of the World?
Uh, well, remember this was
Oh,
COVID was
COVID.
going on too, so it was like, don't get Mel sick. Whatever you do, protect Mel. But we would Zoom with him,
Yeah.
and he'd give notes. Early on in the process, we had more
Yeah.
meetings and contact with him. And then once we started shooting, then it wasn't. It was afterwards, like when we were doing the editing and things. But I mean, come on,
Was wonderful.
what a treat! What a just amazing.
I wanna ask you about Ellen because I feel
Mhm,
like you were on her show a lot. You seem like
mhm.
a good relationship with her, and then I think after the story came out about just sort of the workplace, th we don't talk about Ellen as much, sort of it's like an issue. It's one of those things that's just like a subject that's not talked about as much, and I think her legacy, speaking of legacy, is sort of, like, obscured. Can you just talk about what Ellen meant to you? How do you think about Ellen? What is your relationship like with her?
I love Ellen. She's always been uh, nothing but nice and supportive,
Yeah.
towards me. But then again, like I said, I never worked.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't work at the show. Uh, I don't know. It's I don't have enough information, I guess.
Mm,
But what I will say is, I understand what it's like to. Um, I shouldn't say understand. I can see what it could be like to be in the position of, "Hey, I wanna come in, do my show,
yeah.
right? And then go home," whatever. And then it's the people who are, running the show, um, it's their
Yeah,
job to
yeah,
facilitate that, but you gotta keep an eye on those
yeah.
people, you know? Um, like, I have, like, my art production company, and everything I do, it's a no assholes policy, nobody can be an asshole. You treat I treat everyone with
Mhm.
nothing but respect, and that's what you expect from the top down. But I can see how if you're not so
Yeah.
hands-on and you just come in and out and you don't see how they make the sausage.
You're at a sort of interesting moment in your career in so much as, like, hypothetically, you're a few years away from the retirement age. Obviously, the
Mhm.
retirement industry age of the entertainment industry is different than the regular jobs, though people don't retire at 65 anymore anyway.
Right.
But, at the same time, your kids are around college age,
Mhm.
which is a time where I've noticed a lot of artists were like, "Now it's time where I can do anything."
Right.
How are you feeling about where you're at right now? Do you feel like I'm in a moment of experimenting? I'm in a moment of let's sort of slow down and sort of look back where we came from? How do you sort of see your career at this moment?
Well, yeah, my kids, they have one more year of high school. So, it's critical time.
Yeah.
So, I do think that I would like to be available,
Yeah.
you know, for them to get to that next level of before they go to college. So yeah, but right now I'm in the that process of creating the next thing. What's the next show? Or, now I have to write another act,
Yeah.
write another hour, building that up. Um, so yeah, I would say this time right here, I just got my feelers out, you know, say what do I wanna do next? Where should this show take
Mm,
place? Do I wanna be back on the West Coast? Should I stay on the East Coast? What's
mm.
the you know
So one of the reasons I asked is that I believe it was maybe you were recently in a movie called The Undercard, which was a drama, which is
Mhm.
like your straight up drama. If you
Yeah.
um What was that experience like for you to be like you did not go into this being like, "Maybe one day I'm gonna star in a
No,
understated
not at
drama."
all.
But what was it like to sort of just be a person just being like, "Okay, I'm gonna be in a drama, I'm gonna be true to it and, like, act and, like, capital A act."
I loved it. I did. It was challenging. I think it's because I also love the world that it was set in. I love boxing.
Mm,
So, and I still, train. I still work out at a boxing gym. But I mean, it was a little kind of boost my ego a little bit. It was like, it was kind of nice to go in and shoot a scene, and then you look at the crew, and they're not like in awe, but they're like, wow, wow, we hey, let's move this along, let's get to work,
yeah,
and that did feel good, like it. But again, Tamika, the director, she did a great job with not just the cast, but with the DP and everyone. It was just very supportive, and just I just really enjoyed it. And I love just being away and only focusing
yeah,
on that, because when you're shooting something like that, you can't bounce like, "Oh, what's the punchline for here?" No, you
yeah, yeah.
gotta you gotta stay in it.
Can you imagine a life of just dramatic
No,
acting? Okay.
no.
But you wanna do maybe more.
If the right part comes along, yeah, absolutely.
The one thing I was curious about is, you is the character, is struggling with or is a recovering alcoholic,
Mhm.
and you joke about drinking in almost every year special. Did
Right.
it make you think about your own drinking in a different way than you would when you're talking about it in comedy?
Yeah, yeah. It w it did, because you see this character and how when things are difficult for her, she falls back
Mm,
to the alcohol, and it did put in my mind like, okay, um, alcohol's for celebrations.
Mm,
It's for happy times.
yeah,
Yeah. So I do think about that.
that's
Like,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, opposed to it is medicine.
Right.
I
Exactly.
think it's a good
Exactly.
way to contrast it.
Exactly.
At the ending of Legacy, you seem really moved.
Mhm.
You are moved. You're visibly moved.
Yeah.
You're crying, and you say like, "I used to be in the audience looking at the performers, and now you're the
Mhm.
performer." And it wasn't the sense that I got is you were not in college being like, "One day I'm going to be a big
No,
star." You
God,
had no idea.
no.
So
No.
what were you processing in that moment, being there as the person on stage? It seemed like you're processing your entire life since college. What was going through your head?
Yeah. And wasn't just in Ogden Hall where it was shot. It wasn't, just, like, concerts, like homecoming shows. It was
Yeah.
I mean, and also it was like real music, like jazz,
Mm,
and performances, and also that that space, is kinda sacred, like it was, like back then, like, you couldn't wear jeans
mm,
and there and all, so just looking out at it and going, this room was a very important, space when I was here, and now I'm up here with my shenanigans and, you know, rolling on the ground and,
yeah.
whatever, uh, and all these people are here for me. Yeah, it just meant a lot, like, I
Yeah.
never could I imagine this. Yeah.
I mean, y lots of people say this sentence, "I never could imagine," but comedy wasn't even close to your
No.
radar, right? And it's like your life is
Mm-mm.
so fully different than the
Right,
person that was there.
right.
Um, did you do multiple tapings? Were you emotional both taping? Was
Yeah,
that
yeah, I did we shot one Friday, one Saturday. Uh, Friday, the opening, it took me a minute.
Mm,
Yeah, it took me a minute when I walked out on the stage, the reception, I was like, "Woo!" It really hit me, so I was able to hold it together a little bit more when
yeah.
I walked out on Saturday.
And then it all came out
Mhm.
at the end. You're
Yeah.
like, "This is" it's just wild. Yeah, it's just like your entire it'd be one thing if it's like, oh, 8 years after, you're like, "Look, I'm a famous comedian now,"
Right.
but it's like
40.
40 years later. Did
Yeah.
you meet students while you're working on it?
Yeah, yeah. Met a lot of students. We actually, hired a lot of the
Mm,
students to, like, be PAs and, to shadow, department heads and all. Kids were amazing. They were just the best. And I um, had some
yeah.
conversations, had some Q&As with them, working with the band and with the choir and the cold open, and that was just the best, yeah.
What does legacy mean to you?
Um Legacy is for me, it's my love letter to my school, to
Mm,
Hampton University and to HBCUs, um, and it's also, like my full circle moment,
yeah.
you know? Um, it's what I wanna leave, it's what I wanna give back to the school and to my community and also to my fans to let them see
Mm,
this is where I'm from.
yeah.
My roots are here. Yeah.
So now it's time for our final segment, which is like a lightning round, but you don't have to answer these questions quickly. They're just questions we
Okay.
ask every episode, so I put it at the end and call it a lightning round. Again, I ask this question of everybody. Feel free to answer it however you are comfortable. How much money do you have or make?
Enough.
There you go. It's a good answer. Do you have a favorite joke? Like a joke? Like a street joke?
I It's a joke my son told me. It's a dad joke, but it
Right?
made me laugh. Uh, why did the blind man what is it? Oh, why did the blind man fall into the well?
Why?
Because he couldn't see that well.
It's
See?
beautiful. It's simple.
Simple.
Um, you've told a few already, but do you have a short story of an interaction with a legendary comedian, living or dead, you're willing to share with us?
Can you sing her?
Yeah.
Oh, so I was at a concert, and it was like a Prince tribute, and Shaka Khan was on stage singing, "Feel for You," and during the breakdown, you know, I'm standing with my friend Allison, and we have pretty good seats, so during the breakdown, she looks out and she goes, "Hey, Wanda." And my friend and I looked at each other, and my friend Allison goes, she's like, "Bitch, she said, 'Hey, Wanda,' she knows you." And because this was maybe 20 years
Yeah, yeah,
ago,
yeah, yeah.
20 years ago. And then, uh, jaws just dropped, like, "Did she?" And then she just, "Ah!"
Yeah, yeah.
Goes into her song. So that was pretty cool.
Have you met her since? Do you know if she knows you?
Oh, she does, but I
Yeah.
haven't, but we haven't, our paths have not crossed.
Um, in your opinion, who is the greatest comedian alive?
Alive?
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
Who's the greatest comedian not alive?
Richard Pryor.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's
That's
easy.
why I asked alive.
Yeah, okay.
I added alive because if you just say who's the
Uh-huh,
greatest comedian, people say Richard Pryor, and they're
uh-huh.
correct. Alive, you can't answer. Okay, sure.
I can't.
Do you have a top 10, 4?
Mm-mm.
Do you remember the best time you ever bombed?
Well, it was probably in Boston, and it was Dennis Leary's,
Mm,
benefit, and and it was right after the election, and I go up and get some laughs, and then I do a joke about Trump, and everybody goes nuts. It's like half the audience is booing, the
mm,
other half is cheering, and then, fights break out. Yeah, and they're booing, some people are booing, like I said, and so it's
yeah,
like, "Go, Wanda, come on, Wanda," and then people, just fights, whatever, and then they started then I'm hearing, like N-word and
yeah.
bitch and all this
Uh-huh.
stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, so I can't say something about Trump?" Like, so then I just started calling out sections. "Fuck you," and what's that, 221? "Fuck you, fuck you," and I'm just cussing everybody out. Whoever, whatever sections are booing, just,
That's pretty good.
and yeah, and then I then I and I'm like, "Oh, they're really fighting." So I start going, "Hey, come on, y'all. Come on." I try to turn around. "Hey, come on, everybody. Look. Hey, look. Come on, man. Look, we here for a benefit. We're here." But it's like, "Hey, I had cancer too, all right?"
You know it's bad if
I
that.
had cancer too. And that kinda settled people down. That settled them down. And then I finished strong. But I had to bring them back with, "I had cancer too."
Thank you so much.
Thank you.